hit your whole body go crack. The baseline move, take it off of the mat. We rock guys every time we feel it. Boom, boom, back, yeah, we got it like that. Kick drum, hit your whole body go crack. The baseline move, take it off of the mat.
Yes, people, it's your boy Jaydee Dyer, and here we go. The final week of the NBA regular season. Several big games are on the calendar, and almost every seed is still up for grabs in both conferences. Who said the NBA wasn't competitive this late into the season? You know who else is competitive? My HeatCheck family. So shout out to my guys always on the show with me. He's competitive on the court, he's competitive in the boardroom, and that's why he's a 3-time NBA champion. One of the best agents in the game, BJ Armstrong. Shout out to you, my brother, each and every time. And look, he's got that competitive edge in his preparation and love for this game. But don't cross him on the timeline either, because you'll regret the 140 characters that's coming back at you. None other than the hoop genius, Mooncey. Kings, this is the one. Yeah, last one of the regular season. Is it going to be a good one, right?
No doubt, no doubt. The regular season is coming to an end. It's been great to watch, actually, because they're playing meaningful games this late in the season. So this is terrific. But I know Mo is ready for the postseason. He has hot takes, but I know he's going to have some incredible takes, especially, let's start it this week. Get ready for the postseason.
Hey, man, I'm always ready. JD, I need you to know one thing, though. I'm the CEO of Keep the Same Energy, whether it's on the timeline, whether it's in real life, I keep the same energy. I'm hoping Brad Beal keeps the same energy because I've seen him active on the timeline last night, letting it fly with Mr. Kent Bazemore. We can talk more about that in a little bit, but I'm hoping he keeps that same energy when they next match up against each other. So I'm not here for the timeline drama, I'm here for the say it to my face kind of drama, I'm talking about.
I like that. You know what? Keeping that same energy, let's actually focus our latest news this week of what's happening in Washington, because Brad Beal's running mate has achieved greatness, and we're talking about none other than Russell Westbrook. So first of all, congrats to Russ on achieving NBA history in leading the league now in career triple doubles. I know we touched on it last week, but it's incredible now the feat has actually happened. And to be honest, we're not surprised because we see the consistency of greatness every single time he steps on the court. But Mo, now that he's actually achieved the feat, how does it make you feel?
Man, I am so happy to see Russell Westbrook out here succeeding. And just, he gets a lot of criticism from a lot of people. And even last night when he broke the record, he was getting a lot of criticism from a lot of haters. But I said this the other day on my Twitter, and I'll say it again now. If you're not rooting for Russell Westbrook, you are bad vibes. Keep that energy away from me. I'm rooting for Russell Westbrook. He plays hard every time he's out on the court. He really, really wants to win more than anyone else I've ever met in my life. And, it's great to see him finally getting the flowers from everyone else, because I feel like people started taking him for granted a little bit. And one stat that really jumped out to me last night, I think I tweeted it as well, was 74. I think they've won 74.7% of games where Russell Westbrook gets a triple-double throughout his career. So anyone who's out here saying he's only got the triple-doubles because he's stat padding, well, then why have they won 75% of the games? You show me some better numbers. If it was so easy to stat pad, then everyone would have a triple-double. So put some respect on the Brody's name.
Right, for real, put some respect on his name. 182 and counting, BJ. Look, surpassing the great Oscar Robertson. But look, he has held that record for over, nearly 50 years. That truly is a testament to the consistency and the greatness we've seen from Russell each and every time he steps on the court during his career.
It's been amazing to watch, JD, to watch this young man when he first came in the league and in 2008 as a player. And we must remember, guys, he did not even play point guard in college. So to watch Russell Westbrook transcend, develop, continue to evolve as a player, and suddenly now have 182, I'll say that again, 182 triple doubles has been one of the most amazing things ever. Some records, sometimes you'll look at those records like by Will Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, you think those are unachievable. There's no way those will get broken. And all of a sudden now you have Russell Westbrook as the all-time leader in triple doubles. What an amazing feat. Congratulations to the Westbrook family. And just a side note, guys, I had the pleasure of working with Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook, both of them at the same time in the 2008 draft. I never imagined that one, let alone both of them, would be, the most valuable player in this league. And to watch Russell Westbrook have this level of success as a point guard has been one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in all of sports. It's been amazing to watch. Congratulations, well-deserved. He's one of the most hardworking gentlemen I've ever met, and continue to work on his game. But more importantly, he's continued to inspire others and let people know that, you know what, if you put in the work, you know you can get the results. So congratulations to the Westbrook family.
The real recognize his position in the Hall of Fame was already solidified, but the 182 and counting is just testament to the work that Brody puts in each and every day. But I want to move on with the latest news. Let's switch gears a little bit here because we're going to talk about the WNBA, which tips off on May 14th with, of course, New York hosting Indiana. We're followed by Phoenix at Minnesota. Look, I'm excited. It has a different feel this year because you've seen the salary caps changes, we've seen the shortening of rosters, and of course, last year, we all saw the league high records in terms of ratings. But Mo, how excited are you as we're gearing up now for another season of the W?
Man, I'm extremely excited. This season is looking to be one of the most competitive so far. And what I'm most excited about is the fact that so many new viewers are going to be taking in the WNBA this season. And I urge you, if you've not watched the WNBA before, make sure you go and check it out because it's got some really dope players, some really dope teams, some young stars that are really stars in the making. And of course, we've got to pay respect to some of the OGs that have been killing it for a long time as well. The league's really got it all. And it's nice that it's finally getting a spotlight from the rest of the media that's shining the spotlight onto what those amazing women are doing in the WNBA.
BJ, man, given the flow of talent that's going to be in the women's game right now, look, there's actually shortening those rosters. But you know how we do on this show. Look, competition breeds quality. So I'm seeing the influx of international players come in. I'm seeing the shortening of rosters. It actually has me a little bit more excited for what we're about to witness with the women this year.
Well, you're watching the quality of the play continue to rise. The women have been doing an amazing job. They're continuing to excel in playing, sports, whether it's here and talking about the WNBA, but all around the world. So you can see the quality of play from the women's game, and it's been phenomenal to watch. So congratulations to them. Another start to an amazing season, and where they're continuing the brand of professional basketball, especially here in the United States.
Look, the increase of international draftees is a credit to the globalization of the women's game. No two ways about it. And we've got all the action coming for you here on Sky Sports. As you can see, I'm smiling because Chicago will kick off our action here as they go into the building of Washington to play. And look, that woman right there has gone home, Candace Parker. We already know how she's going to go down, no doubt about it. She'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. But 6 p.m., Sky Sports Arena and Sky Sports Mix is where you need to watch the WNBA season kick off for their annual 25th season. But I'm going to flip gears a little bit because this next bit is going to make me smile and because it was a little bit unexpected. And I know you're all thinking we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame, but we're not. We're actually going to talk about J. Cole. And I know you're thinking to yourself, what, this is a basketball show. Why are you talking about J. Cole? But Mo, J. Cole's actually expected to play for the Rwanda Patriots in the BBC in the inaugural season of the Basketball African League. When I heard that, I was thinking to myself, okay, first of all, how old is J. Cole? 36. But Mo, we've seen it. We've seen the tryouts. We know that he played D1. How excited are you to see that Cole's putting down the mic temporarily and going to pick up a basketball?
Hey, what's crazy with me is his album drops on Friday, but on Sunday he's going to be playing in the Basketball Africa League. That just shows me one thing and one thing only, the love of the game. And it shows you when you're a hooper at any level and you've got that love for the game, you just want to be on the court getting buckets because there's no better feeling in the entire world. So I've got a lot of respect for J. Cole, and I also like it because a lot more people are now going to have their attention on the BAL. Previously, they might not have been tuned in. Now they're going to be watching BAL and they're going to be able to see not only J. Cole, but all of his teammates and all of the teams that he's going up against. As I'm excited to see how this league goes because I think there's some real talent there and we can see some really promising players eventually set a pathway of getting over to the NBA as well. So there's a lot of talent going on in the BAL. I think J. Cole is great to bring the eyeballs in, but don't sleep on all the other players that are in the league as well.
100%. And I do want to just bring on to the last bit of latest news that we have to catch everybody up with because the NBA never forgets anything. And it's been delayed from last August because of the coronavirus. We all know the pandemic that's affected us all. But the Hall of Fame induction will be held on May 15th. And we're all excited because the class of 2020 will actually get inducted into it. Think about Patrick Bowman, of course, the FIBA executive. You think about the 4-time Olympic gold medalist and 10-time WNBA All-Star, Tamika Catchings. Of course, Tim Duncan, you know his accolades, 15-time All-Star, 3-time Finals MVP. BJ, the list goes on. Kevin Garnett's on there as well, which is going to bring a smile to Mo's face. I know two ways about it. But we all know that the one name that we're all excited to see inducted into the Hall of Fame is, of course, the 18-time All-Star and NBA champion Kobe Bryant, who will be inducted by, of course, a man you know very well, Michael Jordan. So, BJ, are we ready for what's going to be an emotional night, and are we ready finally to induct Kobe and all of those other great names into the Hall?
Well, you know, what an amazing now. Just listening as you were saying those names, you're talking about Tim Duncan, you're talking about Kevin Garnett, you're talking about the late Kobe Bryant. I mean, that's just basketball royalty right there. And it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be so emotional. And I'm just getting, you know, just thinking about what that night, and you're talking about Michael Jordan is going to be there. It's going to be a night to remember. So if you have an opportunity, please tune in and put in it. And just the names that's going to be there and the people that are going to be there. And I know this has been a long time coming, but I think it's going to be very emotional, and certainly I'll be there to witness and watch. And that's incredible. So congratulations to everyone, all of the inductees this weekend. What an amazing group. And I'm sure the NBA is going to do an incredible job of producing this one, because those are some amazing names that's going to be inducted this year into the class.
We've seen some incredible classes get inducted into the Hall of Fame, but this would rival anyone out there. And we can actually bring it to you live here on Sky Sports. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be intense. And that man right there, Kobe Bryant, his name will be put into the Hall of Fame where it rightfully deserves to be. 10:30, Sky Sports on Saturday night. Sky Sports Arena and Sky Sports Mix. I know it's going to be an emotional one, but it's going to bring a few smiles to all of us, man. So, yeah, let's get ourselves ready for that one. And more than anything else, let's get ourselves ready now for Hot or Not. Let's dive in. Look, several teams, notable teams, have underperformed this year. Look, I give it. It's unusual circumstances. That includes a shortened season and the ramifications of COVID-19. I get that. I'm bringing out all of the stipulations first. But the Celtics have been enshrined in the history of the NBA, because you guys are the leaders in terms of the history of the NBA, in terms of being one of the most successful franchises. And even in recent history, I'm thinking about 3 conference finals out of the last 4 seasons. Let's just say this season hasn't gone to plan. Now, Mo, I'm going to lay out all the variables for you. We could talk about Kemba Walker, the agent signing. We could talk about the sort of Gordon Hayward's absence. We could talk about the second unit. But for me, this all led to one hot take, Mo. And I know, look, we're boys, but the Boston Celtics are in serious, serious trouble. How do you feel about this one?
You know what, JD? It's been a long season. And, you know, I forgive you for getting caught up in the moment. People are so used to the sustained greatness of the Celtics, but when one season things don't go right, everyone's trying to hit that panic button. Let me tell you this. The Celtics have nothing to worry about. Let me tell you why. There's only one concern. The one concern that the Celtics should have is the health of their team. Let me break it down to you. If you look at the top 7 players on the roster, right? When we look at playoff basketball, you know, you get 7, 8-man rotation, whatever. So the top 7 players on the Celtics roster, we're looking at Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Daniel Tice, Tristan Thompson, Kemba Walker, and Rob Williams. And obviously, Daniel Tice was then traded out, and Evan Fournier really replaced him in that spot. But at no point throughout the entire season did the Celtics have their top 7 players available at the same time. Not for a single game. And when you look at their top 5 players, when you look at their best starting 5 of Kemba, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Rob Williams, they only played 7 games together this entire season. Of those 7 games that they played, they went 6-1. So I'm not worried about the Celtics. I'm worried about the health of the Celtics, because when they're healthy and all playing together, they look like a great team. The problem has been getting those guys on the court healthy together at the same time. So everyone talking about we need to trade this guy, we need to trade that guy, we need to fire Coach Stevens. No, we just need to get healthy. Anything other than that, I'm not concerned about. Yeah, we've got problems with bench depth, and, you know, we don't really, in my opinion, have enough veterans on the roster, and it's just a lot of young players coming off that bench. Of course, additions can be made, but the biggest concern is health. And we've seen that now with Jaylen Brown out for the rest of the season. Season's done. But I'm not stressing, because I know next year, you know, even if the Celtics do miss the playoffs, I think it's a blessing in disguise. Give everyone a longer offseason, get right, get healthy, come back next year with a vengeance, get everyone on the court at the same time, then everyone's going to regret making these jokes.
DJ, I think it's very unique to hear Celtics fans talk about building for next year and talk about health. I'm just going to weigh up on both angles.
Right.
Jordan from next year. Like I said, I don't think I've ever heard Celtics fans talk that way. There's a little bit less bass in their voice at this moment in time.
My voice is the same every day.
Also, when you talk about the health aspect, I've also seen the Nets struggle with health. They've only had the big three on the court together for 7 games as well this season. So they've somehow made it work. I don't understand how the Celtics have somehow made an excuse, but do you agree with me, PJ? Are they in real serious trouble at this moment in time?
Well, I think internally they are in trouble because I don't think the rest of the world has the same expectation for this Celtics team that everyone else has. Within Celtic Nation, it seems like they think they're going to win the championship. And I don't think this is a championship caliber roster, whether they're healthy or not, as it is currently is constructed. I think they have some very nice pieces starting with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But outside of that, right, those two players, I love Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart is a terrific player. But when you look at their roster and you analyze their roster, this isn't a championship caliber roster. I don't think anyone outside of Celtic Nation thinks that they are going to win the championship other than the people internally. So let's start there. Now, I'm not sure what the expectations really are. I'm not sure what Mo really thinks they're going to do. I think if this team gets to the playoffs this year, I think that's a win for them. I think, based on the COVID, all of the health injuries, but every team in the league can say that right now. So I think right now we can't just say if they were healthy, they would do X, or if they this. No, let's just call it what it is. Like, they have some emerging star players. They have some players who, have had injuries or COVID, what have you. But more than that, I don't know what expectations really are. Every week I listen to Mo and people around the world, literally, who root for the Celtics. Tell me what you think is realistic for this team. I mean, Mo, what's the expectations here?
Well, realistic for this team at this point in the season, realistic is losing in the playing game right now with the way things are looking, the way that Jaylen Brown's out. Like, what are we expecting? Jason Tatum to put up 60 points every game for the rest of the year? Is that what we're really expecting? Being realistic with it. Now, I'm not saying, even if they are at full strength, they're not a championship caliber team. The Brooklyn Nets have got, 3 All-Stars. But if they are at full strength, you tell me any team in the league wants to face them in a 7-game series.
Well, listen, I like their team. Don't get me wrong. I feel that at any given moment, based on their input and the players that they have, they can win a game or potentially a series. But I don't think you're talking about – I don't think they're better than Milwaukee. I don't think they're better than Brooklyn. I don't think they're better than Philly. I don't. I mean, I like who they could be. I think they have an interesting team that you could build around. But other than that, I'm not saying that this team is like scary or I don't want to think that. I just think this, I don't know, Mo. Mo.
This is the way I see it, though. This is the way I see it, right? This team, in my opinion, this is why I was talking about the top 7 players on the team, because we all know regular season, postseason, very different. Shortened rotations in the postseason. You don't need to go deep into your bench. Certain man won't be getting minutes in the postseason that get a lot of minutes in the regular season. I don't need to say those names, Jaydee. You know what I'm talking about. When I'm looking at this team, right, the playoffs is when the superstars come out to play. Jason Tatum, bona fide superstar in this league. Jaylen Brown, I don't even want to call him an emerging superstar in this league. If you've watched him throughout the whole season, you could got to put him up there with all the rest of the stars in the NBA, right? So we've got 2 stars that can go and get their own buckets at this time. And then you've got Kemba Walker, if healthy, is a threat on the perimeter, is a threat in the pick and roll as well. Rob Williams, if healthy, is an elite lob threat at the bucket. He's just great at passing as well. For a big man, he makes great reads. And then, of course, Marcus Smart, who is a championship DNA level player in terms of doing all the dirty work that it takes. And then now you've got someone like Fournier coming off the bench. And, obviously after that, it gets a little thin, right? It gets a little thin because I don't know how I feel about Tristan Thompson coming off the bench and all of those kind of things. But what I mean to say is, if in the playoffs, we all know in the playoffs, if you can keep a game close, Down the stretch, that's when the superstars take over, and no one is built for the big moments like Jason Tatum. We've seen him do it time and time again. So what I'm saying is these kids have got such high expectations because of how well they've done in the previous years when they weren't expected to do anything. Now they're age 23, 24, everyone's expecting the championship. What I'm saying is, let's be realistic with it. That roster is, there are massive holes in the roster in terms of the depth and the pieces around the two superstars. But you're telling me in any close game that's just a couple possessions, anyone wants to bet against Jason Tatum? I don't know, because I wouldn't.
Well, I'm going to say that. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. The reason I refer to them as emerging stars is because, I don't think anyone, myself, expected them to jump on the scene this fast, especially with the team. That's why I said they're emerging, right? I think now it's like, oh, we have not one, but two stars now. And now suddenly we have to start building our team around these two players. I think Danny Ainge and company now have two stars that they're saying we have two realistic stars. Not like we have two very nice young players. We have two players that now for the next 4 to 5 years, we can make a run at this and build a team around them. So that's why I'm calling them emerging stars, is because, when they acquired Gordon Hayward, when they acquired Kyrie Irving, I don't think they expected these two players to emerge from that as the best players. That's why I'm calling them emerging players. So I think those two players have earned the right now to build a team around them and move forward and see how good they can potentially be and say, can they make a run at the NBA championship? At 23, 24, they're still young players. Their best basketball is ahead of them. So I think realistically, this organization is ahead of schedule. I think those two players are ahead of schedule. They're both all-stars now. And I think they have earned the right on the court to build a team around them 1 through 12. And I think that, to me, is where you're at as a franchise, more so than saying, oh, we got players. Oh, Rob Williams, the landlord, what you guys call him, whatever you guys call him. He's emerging. Oh, we got this guy. No, we got Evan Fournier now. No, right now, let's have an offseason where we're saying we're going to build around these two guys. And let's start. I love that. And I think that's where the franchise is realistically at. But I'm just an outsider. You guys are Celtic Nation. I leave Celtic Nation alone. You guys, every year you're hanging a banner.
They're very loyal. Celtic Nation are very loyal, and I think BJ and I think Mo make some great points. You guys are ahead of schedule, and it'll be good to see where both Jalen and Jason go over the next couple of seasons. But I hold no punches. And when we're talking about teams struggling this year, there's one team on the East that are very, very vocal, and a shout out to the Boston Celtics fans all the time. But there's a team on the West that are very, very vocal as well, that are very quiet at this moment in time. And I just want to know, serious question. Where are all the Lakers fans that were very active last year after the finals? This is no shade. This is a serious question. Where are all the Lakers fans that were filling up the timelines last year? Because when LeBron James left, you lot seem to depart as well. Now, I'm saying that because LeBron James is on his way back. We know that he's obviously picked up his sort of road to recovery. He's entered full training again as we enter the last week of the regular season. But Lakers fans, I want to give you the quotation of Anthony Davis this week. I'm back. So believe it. And I believe it as well. I do believe, and listen to my hot take, BJ. You're out on the West Coast. The 42-12 I saw from Anthony Davis this week has made me believe that he can actually lead the Lakers to the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, clearly when those two players are healthy, they are one of the top 8 teams in the Western Conference in the league. Let's just call it what it is. Now, they've had some health issues, and, you've seen some confidence and some self-doubt kind of creep in. This is not a very confident team right now, talking about the Lakers. Schroeder has been out. You've seen kind of Drummond trying to figure out how he's going to integrate his talent in there. LeBron has played a couple games, then he sits out. And suddenly now the Lakers are looking to have to participate or compete in the play-in game. What a change of events out here in LA. Now, if you put those two on the court, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you like their chances. Let's just call it. You can put the other three guys on the court and figure it out as they go along. But right now, LeBron James is not healthy. LeBron James has said, that he probably won't be healthy for the rest of the season. So there are some doubts seeking in. I don't see the same confidence. I don't see this team playing in the same confident way. The bravado, the swag, all of the things that we're used to seeing out here in LA. It's just not here right now. And I'm not sure it's going to come back. But again, as long as LeBron James continues to say he's going to play, it's going to give them some hope. But I don't see the same confidence that I was seeing earlier in the season. And it should be some concern out here right now because we don't know how LeBron James' ankle is going to hold up for the remainder of the season.
Look, Mo, me and you have had some real private conversations about where we stand on Anthony Davis. So this is going to be really interesting. Yeah, I need to understand. This is the man that's a champion. And I'm going to give the accolades where it deserves to be. Complete player. You see the skill set he has offensively. He can guard 1 through 5. He has everything. But do you believe he can carry the Lakers through the playoffs?
Do you mean to the playoffs or through the playoffs?
I'm talking both. Because as far as I'm concerned, the Lakers should not be sitting in the 7th position right now anyway.
He can carry them to the playoffs because let's look at the rest of their schedule. They've got the Knicks on Tuesday night. That's a tough game. After that, you've got the Rockets, the Pacers, and the Pelicans. You're not really worried about those 3 teams are both in the bottom 10s of their conferences, right? So the Lakers can reestablish some momentum and they could maybe, depending on how the other teams around those positions play, avoid the play-in game. So Anthony Davis could very well lead them to the playoffs. But before we talk about can he lead them through the playoffs, if you have a 1-game play-in game against the Golden State Warriors and LeBron James isn't healthy, are you telling me you trust Anthony Davis to lead that team to the win over Stephen Curry whilst he's being guarded by Draymond Green? I wouldn't be so sure. So I'll say that for what it is. And then we're talking about through the playoffs. If LeBron James can't get healthy, I don't really have any expectations for the LA Lakers in the playoffs. I was told on this very show that Andre Drummond is an elite big man in this league. I'm still waiting to see this. I'm still watching Laker games, waiting to see this elite, dominant big man that JD himself put in the same sentence as one Bill Russell. I'm still waiting to see this. I'm still holding receipts from the episode. You know what I'm saying? I know Obi's not here today because he didn't want this conversation. I'm still waiting to see Andre Drummond show himself as an elite big man in the NBA because all I have seen so far is Laker fans complaining that Marc Gasol's not getting minutes anymore because Andre Drummond's getting minutes. So, you know what I'm saying? I was told that they had an elite big man signing with them. I'm still waiting to see it. So, without LeBron James, the chances of the Lakers getting back to the finals become very, very slim, especially when you look at how talented the Western Conference is. But having said that, if LeBron James can get healthy, even if he's not fully healthy, I trust a 50% LeBron James more than a lot of guys in this league. Do you know what I'm saying? He's proven before. He resides in the NBA Finals. That's where he is. That's where he plays the best. So when LeBron is healthy, if LeBron can get on the court, I like their chance a lot more. But if it's just Anthony Davis and your second best player is then who? You guys tell me. If Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers, who's the second best player? Dennis Schroeder? And then with all due respect to Dennis Schroeder, you're looking at teams like the Phoenix Suns. You're looking at even the Utah Jazz, who have been solid this season. You're even looking at the Denver Nuggets, who are still looking good even without Jamal Murray. And then, of course, the LA Clippers. So I'm looking at it like this. Laker fans, I hope you guys still have your Golden State Warriors jerseys from when you were fans of them, because if LeBron James doesn't return, you might have to find another team to root for in the playoffs.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I'm done today. I'm done.
I'm just calling it like it is. That's what I do. I'm just calling it like it is.
Show's over. I'm done now. I'm done. I'm finished. Philip, BJ, you tell us. You're out on the.
I can't tell you anything after that. I can't. There's nothing. I don't want to follow that. I demand that we move on. Mo, just trust it. There's nothing else to say. Let it go.
We got to move on to the last one.
Let's just move on. You know,
You know
that
what?
was Mo's moment. That's Mo's moment.
Yeah. Just to producer Ellis again, please clip that up. Please, I need that on my timeline so I can retweet that myself. I need to feel that energy twice. Yeah. Moving on to the last take. And of course, you know, the last take, every week we come from the viewers. And look, we had some wild tweets on the show, and I appreciate each and every one of you every week that tune in, but also tweet in. But this one is very interesting. And shout out to my boy, James Lanigan. I'm going to give you a full name shout because this is as far as our rapport can go right now, especially when you're tweeting stuff like this. Now, I'm going to feed you to the wolves now, James, because James believes, Mo, that the Washington Wizards will get into the playoffs. That's fine. But he still had more characters to go. And he then says they will go on to beat the 76ers. How do you feel sitting in the conference, know that you could actually play one of those teams?
James. Now, this is an interesting take. I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, you can see the reaction from the fellas over here. Let's talk about the Washington Wizards for a hot sec. From the past month, they're 13-4, which is a fantastic record, led by a big part of Russell Westbrook having a triple-double nearly every night. Bradley Beal putting up big scoring numbers when he's healthy. If he can get back on the court, that's a scary sight for anyone to guard. And the craziest part about being 13-4 over the past month is, of those 4 games that they've lost, every single one has either been in overtime or only by a single point. So that means all of those games are very winnable. We could have been looking at a point where they're on a 17-game winning streak, which sounds crazy, but the Washington Wizards have really got it together. So I understand why you're so high on them and why this is a hot take for you. And yeah, I think they're going to make the playoffs too. But then it happened again. BJ, these guys got too much dip on their chip once more. Because we're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, who are currently on their own 8-game winning streak. Now, let me ask you a very simple question. Let me ask you guys a very simple question.
James.
Who's guarding Joel Embiid? That's all I'm going to ask. The MVP candidate, dominant force on the inside who can get it done from the outside, the big man on the block, Mr. Joel Embiid. With Thomas Bryant out for the season with an injury, you think Alex Len is going to stop this man? But that's with all due respect to Alex Len. I don't think there's any players in the league, when Joel Embiid is healthy, I don't think anyone can guard him. I don't think you can name anyone that can guard Joel Embiid when he's healthy. Add to that, the Philadelphia 76ers have got 2 of the best defenders in the league. I know Ben Simmons should win Defensive Player of the Year, but I've got another hot take for you. I think Matisse Thybulle is the best defensive player on the Philadelphia 76ers. So when you've got 2 elite, big body guys that have speed on the perimeter that can guard guys like, not saying they can shut down Beal and not saying that they can shut down Westbrook, but they can slow them down just as much as anybody in the league can. You know, and then you've got elite coaching from Dick Rivers, you've got the shooters from Seth Curry, Danny Green, and then you've got veteran presence of Dwight Howard coming in off the bench. Man, I like the Wizards right now. I really hope the Wizards make the playoffs. I love what they're doing. I love Russell Westbrook and what he's doing. I love Bradley Beal, what he's doing, and the energy he's bringing to anyone who's saying anything about him. Word to Mr. Bazemore over there. But, you know, I'm just saying this. The Philadelphia 76ers are the number 1 seed for a reason. It's going to take a lot to knock them off. And if they're healthy, I don't see that happening. Not now and not in a million years.
I mean, look, I have to balance it because James is my guy. And I said to you already, James, I appreciate you for tweeting in. But BJ, does he have any legs in terms of any sort of value or strength in his argument to say that what you're seeing from the Wizards right now could maybe topple the 76ers in the postseason?
Well, based on the regular season, the answer is no. From start to finish, the Philadelphia 76ers were a superior team to the Washington Wizards. However, I will say this, the postseason is a different game. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the schedule, the season is 0-0. And once the playoffs begin, you just never know how people are going to react. One game, one possession can change a series around. And I will say this, they not have one, but they have 2 elite players, the Washington Wizards, that deserve respect no matter who they're playing against, whether they are the underdog or the favorites in a series. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, both of them are capable of winning a series all by themselves. They're very capable. You know, there's a one player that's coming off the Washington Wizards bench that concerns me that I don't know if anyone else can match up with right now, and that's Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez is an interesting player coming off the bench because he's very capable of scoring anywhere from 15 to 20 points in a supporting role against anybody, whether it's Joel Embiid or anybody. Now, will he match Joel Embiid? No. But if Joel Embiid has 30 points and Alex Len has 8 points and Robin Lopez has 15 points, okay, you're in the game. And anything can happen during the playoff series. So I will say this. I like how this Washington Wizards team is playing, especially late in the season. I'm not willing to bank or bet on against the Philadelphia 76ers, but I can say this. I know Russell Westbrook will show up at 7:30 every single night. He's going to be somewhere or above a triple-double, and anything is possible. I don't think this is a crazy take. I'm just saying, based on what we've seen, I don't see it happening. I'm not going to say I believe that take, but I will say this. Russell Westbrook, I got to put some respect on that man's name. He's going to bring that energy. Now, when we talk about most and he's going to bring that energy face to face, Russell Westbrook has been bringing this same energy for over 13 years. Now, he ain't laying down for nobody. He going to bring all of that smoke, all of that energy to the game. I'm still betting, if you're asking me, on the Sixers. But Russell Westbrook will show up and will have something to say when he sees me. And I wouldn't doubt it. At the end of that series, he said, I told you, B, never to bet against me. Now, that's how I see it. Russell Westbrook is about that. Now, I know he is going to play that level and compete at that level. So I don't think it's a crazy take, but I'm not willing to say I'm buying into it, though.
I just like how we have a Philadelphia and an LA jersey behind BJ right now, and he hasn't gone against either of those two teams at all. He hasn't gone against either of those two teams at all. But shout out to you, James, each and every time. And like I say, bro, every single time we get a tweet on this show, hold your receipts because you could be proven right. That's what I'm going to say. If something crazy happens, listen, something happens in the crazy in the playoffs, you could be proven right, James. So I appreciate each and every week. But look, we need to dive into something very, very special right now and off the court. So look, hold yourself for this one. The question has always been the same in the NBA. Who's going to be the face of it? I think about it now, the history lesson. So whether it's been Larry Bird's killer instincts, Magic's smile, MJ's ability to win and make it look easy, Kobe's competitiveness, LeBron's superhuman ability, and Steph revolutionizing the game. Forever, we've had the same question. Who's going to be the face of the league? So what do you need? You need likability, right? You need relatability. And of course, in today's generation, you need a huge social media presence. This guy has it all. When I'm talking about this guy, I'm talking about he has the depth around the world to turn around and actually captivate you from wherever you are because he does superhuman things. There's something very special about a unique human being, especially in the NBA, when you can combine all of those things. But one thing is actually really important that people sometimes forget, a signature shoe collection. And when I think about today's generation, when I think about where the kids are gravitating towards, it's time for Zion Williamson to enter front and center.
You guys know the number one rule to life, right? Secure the bag. Whilst we live in an era where NBA players are securing huge contracts from their teams for their player on the court, the off-the-court endorsements still play a huge part in the business of basketball, and no off-court endorsement is bigger than a shoe deal. That's the one sponsorship every hooper grows up dreaming of. Back in the 80s, Bird and Magic were the faces of Converse before a certain Mr. Michael Jordan came along in the 90s to revolutionize the sneaker game, but we'll talk a bit more about him later. Allen Iverson signed a lifetime deal with Reebok and his signature line became iconic, and the brand also dropped a few sneakers with Shaquille O'Neal before the Big Diesel decided to create its own line of more affordable footwear for kids to buy. We saw D Rose sign a huge deal with Adidas early on in his career, and guys like Kobe, LeBron and KD have become synonymous with Nike. Well, I said I'd talk a little bit more about his airness himself, as Jordan sneakers are still adored by fans to this day despite him retiring almost 20 years ago. Every weekend I hop on Twitter and see fans either celebrating or despairing that they either did or did not get the pair of kicks they wanted. The Last Dance created a lot of hype for the shoes, but what's next? We've seen MJ sign guys like Carmelo, CP3 and Blake to join the Jordan brand family, but none have quite continued the legacy of the man that many people regard to be the GOAT. So now, as we shift into a new era where NBA stars are more famous on TikTok before they even get to the league, Michael Jordan is hoping that a 20-year-old force down in New Orleans can usher in a new era for his brand.
It's an interesting move for Jordan Brand, who are part of Nike, to sign the #1 pick in the 2020 NBA draft, because back in his college days at Duke, Zion famously had a Nike PG 2.5 split open as he attempted to make a spin move, which led to him sitting out the rest of the game with a knee injury. Well, a reported $75 million over the next 7 years seemed to be able to convince the big man to sign with the brand, and they had to bring out the Brinks trucks, because Williamson is a talent we've never seen before. His mix of explosiveness with physical presence is a nightmare for defenders, and he puts up scoring numbers with efficiency that we haven't seen since a young Michael Jordan himself. Okay, so you've convinced Zion to sign with your brand, but what's next? How do you bring his vision to life? Well, I chopped it up with some of the design team that are behind Zion's new signature sneaker to find his inspiration for the shoe.
I think a lot of people are familiar with Zion only through these sensational video clips that kind of were circulating the internet. And, once we signed with Zion and were able to kind of sit down and talk with him, we quickly realized, like, he's such a humble guy. He's so down to earth. He's all about his family. He's all about his friends, all about kind of just that hard work that he put in to get to where he is today. So for us as a brand, we really wanted to do that some justice. And so with these colorways, these first 4 colorways, we really wanted to make sure that, we were not only highlighting Zion as a Jordan Brand athlete, but really just highlighting who he is as a person.
When we first met with Zion, part of the process was that, he put together a mood board. Imagine your middle school, high school project, big white poster board. He's pasting favorite pictures, favorite songs, favorite moments, all of those different things. And what really came through in that, and one of his favorite shoes that we'll call out is the AJ3. By far his favorite shoe, always talked about it. And, we kind of dug and said, hey, Zion, like, why? What's so important about it? And one of the things he called out was like, I really love the tongue. Whenever I pick a shoe in the morning, I kind of just press down on the plushness of the tongue. And then secondly, he noted the collar. If you think about the collar, the AJ3 is plush, it's comfy. And those were 2 things that really stuck out to him. So he did identify that a mid-top was what he was most comfortable in. I think that's what he's kind of played in all his life. So that came directly from him. But some of the DNA from his favorite mid-tops, i.e. AJ3, was that, okay, we want to make sure that the tongue and the collar are extremely plush. And when you get these in hand, you'll see what I'm talking about with the collar.
So whilst the goal is to secure the bag and sell shoes, you can really see how athletes put their own personal touches on their signature sneakers, and through designs and colorways, they can express parts of their personalities. The question for Zion is now, you've got the sneaker like MJ, but can you go out and get 6 championships like MJ did too? Only time will tell.
Time will tell, but BJ, he's already making an impact in the short time we've known him already. Look, iconically and ironically, what's so interesting about Zion is I actually found out about him in terms of off the court with that sneaker shoe deal. When it burst in that famous game of Duke versus UNC, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I've seen the dunks, I've seen the sort of ability, but it was the way that he impacted the world, BJ. Nike's stock plummeted by over $1 billion that day. That shows the impact that these guys are having. But how big can Zion and now Jordan be together?
Well, whenever you say Jordan, I just think of one thing. I think there is, the marketing of Michael Jordan came second. Michael had an X factor about him. He had it. And what is it? And people always ask me, what is it? The X factor to any great athlete, to any great business is performance. When you say Michael Jordan, you think of the best of the best. You don't think of the second best. You don't think of a highlight. You said, this is the very best. He is the best at what he does. He performed. He won 6 NBA championships. Now, all of these other players, I think they have great marketing. We can talk about all of the things that we do on social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of those things. But none of them have achieved what he's achieved where it matters most. So I think when you talk about all of these athletes, here we're talking about Zion, here we're talking about, Blake Griffin or, Carmelo Anthony or LeBron James or Derrick Rose or what have you, it always boils down to one thing. Michael Jordan, when the smoke settled, he always, he was the last one standing. every single time. So the X factor to all of this is winning. That's the bottom line. Now, Zion is an incredible, gifted athlete. He's a unique athlete. We can describe him. We've never seen an athlete like him, so forth and so on. But in the end, we can talk about Steph Curry. We can talk about all of these guys. In the end, it's about winning. It's about winning games. What do I think Zion and Jordan can do together? Until someone surpasses 6 NBA championships, you'll always, even though Michael Jordan hasn't played in 20-something years, you'll still be saying Jordan, and you'll still regard him as the best of the best until someone surpasses that. And that, we've never seen a combination of the following with Michael Jordan. Someone who's performed to that level, elite level on the court, and someone who's performed off the court at that level. So the bottom line, Jordan performed in the business, and he performed when it was time to play on the court. And until we find that combination, we'll always be comparing today's athlete, tomorrow's athlete, until what Michael Jordan did back in the, literally in the 1990s.
And Mo, look, he joins a signature roster, which obviously, as you said, it includes Melo, CP3, Russell Westbrook as well. He's got some great designs on there. But what makes Zion's design so special and unique catered to him?
When you look at what he's done with the design team over at Jordan Brand, when you look at the shoe itself, there are a lot of details that you might not see at first glance. There's lots of personal touches. He's a big family man. So, when you look at the shoe, it's got the names of his family members are all inscribed in it. And there's a bunch of other different elements that are very personal to him. So I like that the brand is allowing him to put across his personality and really showcase, because there is more to it than just being great on the court. Michael Jordan, he was great on the court, as BJ rightfully said, but his personality off the court, the fact that, he wanted to win in every aspect of life, whether it was on the golf course or whether it was playing ping pong or whatever he was doing, he had to win. That was an element of his personality off the court as well. And I think showing Zion's personality, which is, I think is very different to Michael Jordan's personality I think it's kind of unique to see a nice guy, kind of superstar, whilst having that parallel of the dominant force on the court. It's kind of unsuspected. It reminds me of kind of a young Shaquille O'Neal, with the way that he's got the larger-than-life personality off the court, but on the court, you do not want to get in his way.
You don't want to get in Zion's way. Trust me. Ask every defender this year. But look, I'm excited because I liked the unique aspects. I love the thing where you're talking about the mood boards and how many different things have compelled to sort of enhance his personality. And I think that's really, really important and really, really key. And of course, look, it's still an interesting end to this season as well, because the Pelicans are still in the chase for a lot of sort of postseason rewards. And so are a lot of other teams. So let's dive into that now in the primetime preview. And before we discuss the NBA final day of the regular season, we have to discuss the WNBA because we're back front and center live here on Sky Sports this weekend, 6 p.m. As I said already, the Chicago Sky face off against the Washington Mystics. It's time to watch Candace Parker, Diamond DeShields, and the rest of that team go to work. I've been catching a few of those preseason games and they've been really good. And also, of course, and gentlemen, I want to dive into this with you. Sunday, final day of the regular season. As I said at the top of the show, there's a lot of things that's still to be decided in regards to the postseason. So I think it's time we dive in and give our final predictions as we head into the final week. So BJ, I want to hear from you first, man. Look, there's still some things that need to be tied up, but if you were telling the fans to watch out for one storyline this week or one thing, one aspect as we're in the final week now, which team would you circle to turn around and say is going to be the sort of headlines as we head into Sunday?
Without question, guys, the Los Angeles Lakers. Health is wealth. If LeBron James is healthy, I've never seen a team that can go from one extreme to another. If LeBron James is healthy, they could possibly win the entire chip. If LeBron James is not healthy, their season could end this weekend. I mean, there isn't another team that can go from that extreme. So if you want to zero in on what's going on in the NBA, the right ankle of LeBron James is what you want to zero in at. Let's just not even talk about the Lakers. The health of LeBron James is all you need to know. If this man is healthy, Laker Nation is back. If it's not, It could be
a lot of problems. Could be a lot.
It could be a lot of problems.
I like that. Lakers fans would always say all roads in the NBA lead back to the Lakers, but Mo will always say something different. So Mo, who's your eye on this week as we head into the final week of the regular NBA season?
You know, PJ talked about the Western Conference and the Lakers, so let's talk about the Eastern Conference just for a hot sec. I'm not looking at one team in particular. I'm looking at how the seedings shake out because it's very tight in the middle of that Eastern Conference, whether it's going to be the Knicks, the Hawks, or the Miami Heat who are making a late season push. Where it's going to shake out, who's going to get the 4 seed, that home court advantage in the first round, who's going to get, you know, that 6, 7 seed and have a tougher first round matchup against one of the best teams in the East. So I'm looking to see where the final standings finish because that can make all the difference in terms of the postseason and how far certain teams go because you got to be tactical now with the matchups. You got to decide who you want to see, who you don't want to see. But more than that, if you really want a championship, you've got to be fearless and be ready to face anyone. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot of teams trying to pick and choose who they face in the first round. So I'm interested to see how it shakes out. If the Knicks can hold on to that 4th spot, get Madison Square Garden, jump in for the home court in the playoffs and see if they can get out of the first round. I'm just interested to see it. And also the playing picture in the East. I'm looking at the Hornets and I'm looking at the Wizards and I'm thinking, yeah, you two could make the playoffs as well.
Mo, who did you say? 4th in the East? Who did you say? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either. I need to reload that.
The New York Knicks.
Reload that.
Reload it. The New York Knicks in the playoffs. Man, that just sounds good.
This season's been crazy. This whole year has been crazy because no one expected this.
It has. Talking of things that's crazy, I know the numbers on the Snapchat show are crazy as well because it is there every single week, every Saturday for you. My guy in the paint, shout out to Mooncey. You know what it is, you know the vibes. Yeah, available on Snapchat, my people. New episodes drop, and this week they discussed the MVP race. He starts putting some respect on Nikola Jokic. That's rightfully deserved. I see you, my guy. All right, look, guys. We're almost there, yeah? 72 games is going to be completed by the end of this week. All of the things are going to be done and dusted. And as we say in the league all the time, no matter where your team ends up, they rightfully deserve to be in that position. So we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.